Hey gang, welcome. Another episode of Your Saltwater Guide. Now today we're going to be talking about bait. You know I'm bait guy. I talk about bait all the time on my live shows on Facebook and Instagram. And now we're going to get in depth a little bit more about the bait in your bait tank and things that I think now that you followed the simple recipe on my website about how to handle your bait, now your bait is in your bait tank and you're on your way somewhere to go fishing. Here's what I see as a super big problem with a lot of boaters. You put a lid on your bait tank and you don't look at your bait till you get to where you're going because you don't want that water splashing on your boat or on your friends. Well, here's the big problem, gang. You put that lid on there and you take off to San Clemente Island or you take off to Catalina and you've gone 2.5 hours and then you open up the lid and you're like, oh my gosh, the bait pump's been off. How long has the bait pump been off? And all the bait's dead. That's not the scenario you want. And I know a lot of you are going, oh my gosh, I've had that scenario. Keep the lid off. I know you're getting a little bit of water on people. You're on the ocean, gang. You're going to get wet. Just get over it. It's water. But you want to be able to see your bait. Another thing, you got to keep the dead bait out of the bait tank. It's super imperative to keep the dead bait out of your bait tank. Because dead bait is going to kill the live bait. It leaves off a toxin in the water. If you've ever looked at your bait tank when you have dead bait on the bottom, you're going to see like an oil coming to the top, coming to the surface of your bait tank. That oil is toxic and it's going to cause your bait to die. So you want to make sure to keep all the dead bait out of your bait tank. What I would suggest you do is you keep an eye on it. Somebody keeps an eye on it while you're going to wherever you're going or throughout the day when you're trolling or doing whatever you're doing. Someone keeps an eye on that bait tank. They take your bait scoop. They gently put the bait scoop in the bait tank, go to the very bottom, tap the bottom of your tank with the bait scoop gently. Tap, 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 tap. All the live bait will move and you'll be able to look straight down and see the dead bait on the bottom. Gently tap it while you're scooping the dead bait out. Bring the dead bait up to the surface. Don't pull the net out of the water. Pick the dead baits out, throw them in a bucket. Release the live baits back into the tank. If you pull the bait out of the bait tank, gang, now not only do you have the dead bait, but the ones that are live, you've killed them also because you took them out of the water. Bait doesn't like to be out of the water. The only time you should take it out of the water is when you're walking over to your line to hook it on your hook or to chum. Never ever do I pull the bait out of the water to look at it. That's silly. Now you've knocked all the scales off of it and now you've got more dead bait in the bait tank when you're trying to have live bait. This is advanced live bait handling and it's super important and it's imperative, gang. You've got to keep that dead bait out of your bait tank. It will kill your live bait. It will cause you nothing but brain damage. You've got to keep the dead bait out of there. So make sure to always put someone on watch to watch your bait, or if you're by yourself, every once in a while, look at your bait tank, gang, and make sure that it's not full of dead bait and get the dead bait out. I know most boats, we don't have a phenomenal amount of bait. So we throw the dead bait into a bucket and then we use that for chum later. Just don't nilly-willy throw it over the side unless you have a phenomenal amount of bait. But we like to put it into a 5-gallon bucket and then use it throughout the day for chum, cut it all up, use it for chum on the anchor, whatever. Every piece of bait is crucial and we try to save it all. But don't allow dead bait to set in the bottom of your bait tank. That is horrible. You do not want that happening and it's bad for your bait and it's going to kill your bait. All right, gang? Once again, Your Saltwater Guide, we have a whole page devoted to you. You can ask the personal questions. If any of this doesn't make sense or if anything else on this website's not making sense to you, go to the personal forums, ask me a question. There'll never be any negativity shared on this website ever. Whatever question you ask, if I can't answer it, I will simply give you my phone number. You can call me. We can sit down and chit chat about whatever problems you're having on your boat. I want you to be successful when you go fishing. I want you to have that passion that I have, and that passion's driven by catching fish. If you're not catching fish, you're going to lose your passion. You're going to end up selling your boat, and the whole thing's going to be a big waste of time. I want you to be as passionate as I am about fishing in Southern California, and the way we do that is by being successful, by following the simple recipe that I lay out for you. And if any of it doesn't make sense, feel free to contact me on the personal forums. And then, like I always tell everybody, If I can't answer your question in a text, I'll call you, or you can call me. I give you my phone number on the personal forums. You can talk to me. I want you to be successful. I do not want you going to Facebook or Instagram or Bloody Decks or Fish Dope and asking people that don't fish for a living every single day these questions. I'm here for you. You're a member of the website. Utilize it. Ask me the questions. I fish every day. I know what you're talking about. I've been on your boat. I know all of your boats. For 5 years, 6 years ago, I was on 147 different boats in 1 year. I promise you, I know what's going on your boat. I'll be more than happy to help you. Make sure to reach out to me, and let's make this a successful thing. Thanks for being on my website. Thanks for being a part of your saltwater guide. Let's go catch some fish.